Well, thank you so much. I think that is really powerful, and it will probably provide people some more curiosity and open up some more questions. But I think it's good to kind of tell that story from leadership down to delivery, and then down to the, day to day, where people who are, the operational engine of the organization can then leverage this view as well. And just to probably round out, because I know we could probably talk forever. I know we can talk forever on this topic. But probably just to round out, really kind of understanding from your perspective, because I know you've been working on ARCIS, has been your baby over the many years to build it up, the vision of your role and the impact of the work that you're doing.
Yeah, no, thank you. Well, yeah, so ARCIS now, it's about 8 years old, actually, just end of June. Yeah, so it's been 8 years, and it's been really the passion of mine, right? It's out of, the passion to transfer my knowledge and my experience, and also learn from others. Learning is part of our life. Another component of our life as business architects is a continuous learning. And so I find that, through ARCIS, I have actually been involved in learning a lot from other people, other organizations, connecting with them and looking. And also it helps me I find it very interesting to understand what's happening in the world of business architecture, and that's a very unique exposure, right? So I get to hear a lot from what's going on in different organizations, what are they doing, where they are in their journey, and it makes me feel good, because what I see in the last decade or so, that the whole community, the global community of business architects are actually moving towards, acknowledging the value of business architecture, and that's really exciting to see. Like what, a trend I noticed recently is that, we get requests from C-suites or vice presidents or, executives to actually attend our training. That was unheard of a couple of years ago, So that tells me there is a shift that's happening in the community. That if you have executives actually not just acknowledging, but actually attending the training themselves, that tells me now we are shifting, in a next stage of the journey, that we are going through, the whole maturity of the community, acknowledging the role of business architecture. And really my vision is that, one day business architect role and business architecture becomes truly, woven in the fabrics of the organization, becomes a vital role and vital discipline for the overall success of the organization. And I think, based on what I am seeing, I think we are really on the right track to get there. It's of course it takes a lot of passion and resilience, when you are on the ground on a day-to-day basis. There are moments of frustration and doubts, but with passion and resilience, we can get there, believing in what we are doing as business architects, and that's what I try to talk about, through trainings, through mentorings, that we need to believe in that, because it's not always easy, and that's really challenging, right? Because you want to make a difference. Something is very obvious to us, but that's not always the case, right? And it's interesting, because we are trying to help others, but they don't see that we can help them, right? So sometimes you wonder, okay, should I really care? So it's an interesting challenge, right? It's a dilemma for us, that but that's what I always say. We should believe in what we are doing, the true value of business architecture, and let's focus on solving those problems and impacting the life, of the people that work with us, and that's where the value is. I have even been engaged, like in a restructuring scenario, organizational restructuring scenario, that ended up moving a group of people, a small team, to another part of the organization. using business architecture techniques and analysis. We actually did
Yeah.
the comparison of the capabilities in two different areas, and we
Yes.
made the case that there's a very close relationship. And as a result of that, that team actually moved to the other area.
Yeah.
It impacted their compensation, the acknowledgement of the role they have, and it came, with all of those benefits and the values. And then here I was sitting and thinking, wow, we actually did make a
Yeah.
difference in the life of people,
Yes.
using business
Yes.
architecture, right? And that's really powerful, and I think
Mm.
really that's really the future of the role that becomes truly vital to make a
Yeah.
difference in the organization, in people's life, in the works that we do. So
Oh, so good. Thank you. Naveed, I think
there's
the value that you provide is in that whole breadth, in the practicality and how you apply it, and having you as a mentor. And like I know we were doing it through COVID as well, and so
right.
sometimes just having someone there, like you say, when you're on the ground, there's frustration, is to have that calm person. So I think a mentor in any discipline is a great thing, just to kind of always keep you looking to the left and the right, and looking up and
Right.
down and going, I've got to see the longer term vision here. And there's sometimes a maturity match as well in terms of where an organization is, and kind of bringing it back down to what's a good outcome for that organization or this team or this project for where they're at. And I think that's the power in the leadership and the longevity you've had in the role, to kind of be able to give people that kind of, okay, you need to take a beat,
Right.
because
You
the
have seen it
passion is
all,
there.
right?
Yeah, you've seen it all. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
that's correct. And it's actually interesting point you are raising, because for me, being on this side of the table and hearing the frustration and the challenges, some of those are very similar. You know,
yeah,
my stakeholders don't get it. Like, it's so obvious, and I sit back and I say, yes, that's right. I have heard that again and again and again. And of course, I see it myself in my role as well, right? On the ground. But yes, so, but that keeps people going, because then they realize, okay, so I'm not alone in this journey.
correct.
This is the reality of
Yes,
us, trying to make a difference, trying to,
yeah,
introduce a better way of for the organization, to execute their strategies, to go through any change. And we are kind of trying to, bring everyone through that journey, right? And so
yeah,
it's not easy, of course, right? We are kind of creating that mind shift, that
yes.
mindset shift in people, right? And you might have heard that the reverse bicycle story, right? The bicycle that when you turn the wheel actually goes the other way, right?
By the
It's
way.
actually really good. I love that analogy because it tells how the brain works. When you have a
Mm,
set brain on, this is how I ride bicycle, right? But then when you try to ride the opposite version,
the reality of it.
yes, when you're on the ground trying to ride that bicycle that you rode 20 years this way, all of a sudden your brain now is thinking, okay, something is not right. I'm
Mm,
turning left, but it's actually going right, right? And it takes a while. Interesting enough, we are capable enough to actually make the adjustment and then
yeah.
learn a new way of riding the bike. And that's exactly the scenario with that the strategy to execution framework that we talk about. The reason
Yes.
that a lot of people don't get it is not their problem. We are trying to teach them to ride the bike in a very different way. So
Yeah.
yeah, we have to be patient. We have
Yes.
to let
Yes.
them go through that process. So they have to rewire their
Mm,
brain. So then they realize, oh, okay, yes, I need to architect my business
yes.
before I execute on that, right? And that takes time. That truly takes
It
time.
does.
That's, the physiologically, the person has to go through that rewiring to
Yeah.
see that's how it
Yeah.
works, right?
Yeah.
So that's why, yeah. So patience is really, really, really important. That when we go through that process and that journey.
Yeah, I love that. That's a really good note to kind of finish up, I think, is like, of all the grand things that we can do, patience is a virtue.
Thanks. The
And I
virtue
think
of life.
having support to keep that patience is also really vital, and how to help people in that adjustment period, because it really is quite an adjustment. So,
That's
well,
right.
I just want to say thank you so much for your time,
Of
Naveed,
course.
and I think it's been, well, I've really enjoyed the conversation. So thank you, and I'm sure it's probably not the last. I'd love to do another topic another time, but I hope people get the value out of that really practical examples that you gave. So thank you so much,
Of course,
and
my
I'll see you
pleasure.
soon.
Yes, definitely. No, thanks very much, Susie. Yeah, we'll talk soon again. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.